for sure as one of the listing partners, along with MEXC and Bitmart. And my spidey senses, I won't get into detail, my spidey senses are saying that the amount of OSIS raised is going to spike in the next few days. That's all I can say. And so that cap will close, and then we'll be um, ready to list everywhere that we choose at the same time subsequently. So that's it's looking like it'll be a good week, but we just gotta keep pushing. Everyone has been amazing when it comes to being present. From what I've seen, being communicative with everyone around them, and that this is no joke. And we just hired 2 people that are heavy hitters. Um, Once we get all of that solidified, we can share info on who they are and what they do and what they'll be doing for our team. But we have our team is expanding again, and which is another reason why Jalal and I are going to be going to LA again. But yeah, that's what's good. Let's see. I wonder, Jalal, let me know when we should start. I don't really care if there's 3 people in here or 1,000, personally. But what do you feel?
We are officially live on IG connected, YouTube connected, Telegram connected, and Twitter connected. So we can start in like the next 30 seconds. I'm just gonna double check these things. I see Dan the Fun Guy, Mad Designs. Let's double check Twitter. Hey, everyone that's here, check on the different platforms for us.
There needs to be a way for us to, maybe we've got to get more like monitors as well. Maybe we got to like figure out maybe this a meeting place we could have, or like rent out an office space in this area where you have a bunch of monitors with like different pages open or something, where we can see what people are saying.
That's a good idea. That's a great idea.
Um, because you never know, like people might be asking very important questions and then we just like don't get to them. I hate that. Um, but yeah, just a thought. Uh yeah. So Joel, how do you want to start this? What do we do here? I'm gonna follow your lead and then I'll take the lead when it comes to what we got to go over with DSO.
Sure, sure. I've got a few documents for this. And actually, I have a video that no one has ever seen before. And I'm thinking about this video.
Did I see it?
I mean, you are the video. You're in the video. It was actually by request. Somebody was like, oh no, Niels was like, yo, when are you guys gonna play that video?
What
And
video is it about?
you are free. That
Wait,
video.
that one? I don't know, bro. Really? You want to share that right now?
Maybe towards the end of the call. But I see someone saying, "Hey guys, is it possible to ask a question?" Always. This is an open conversation.
Man, I feel like that video should only be shared when we are listed. I don't want to share that video.
Okay, then that's a treat for everyone.
I
Uh,
feel like that one has to happen when we are like the just in it, it's there because it's too the video is about that. I want to,
cool.
you know what I mean? If it was about anybody, if anyone else was in there, it'd be like cool, but no.
Okay.
I'm
So,
allowed to
so
say that.
everyone knows there's something in the works there. Uh,
Yeah.
but here we can dive in by saying hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody. We are officially confirmed, connected on all the platforms. Um, Jalal Ibrahimi, Chris Goma on the side here.
Oh, hey man, look. Wait, let me try to show. The way the live looks is not good. It's just showing our shoulders on Instagram.
On
You're
Instagram.
probably like, what the hell is this? And they just leave. So we might have to change our view.
Is it even possible? That's the question because I'm using this multi-platform streaming service.
Change our view. Yeah, probably not.
Okay,
But it's
there's got to be a way.
yeah, people probably jumping in here like, what the hell? I didn't come here to see shoulders.
Okay, we can do this. How about this? We go one person at a time.
Yep,
One person at a time.
that will work. Let's see. It's
So
delayed, obviously,
it
so
should be
we're
okay.
gonna see a
All
change.
right. Okay, great. I've got my big head all over the screen.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Okay. All right, that should be okay. I'll just keep switching between us two. But I
You could
wanted
either do it manually or have it kind of like womp back and forth. I'll just mute myself when you're speaking extensively.
okay, that's a good point too. We'll do speaker view. Speaker view, speaker view. Yeah. Thank you everyone for your patience. This is the first time we've done a multi-person live stream, and we're streaming across several different platforms. So it's everything has different formats. YouTube is taking this information just fine. Instagram is like, hey, we need you to be in this specific shape. But here, I'm seeing that it's not doing it automatically on IG. So I'm just gonna jump between the two of us. What I wanted to talk about and jump into today, first of all, I want to say thank you everyone for being here. We've been live streaming every day. It's a really, really exciting time. As Chris was saying earlier in the call, there's a lot going on today. We like our week started this week, Monday, Tuesday, with Gate.io contacting us saying, hey, we were recommended your project by like a really legitimate partner of ours. And we want to talk about putting OSIS on Gate. And we're like,
We are going to see again. We are going to talk to them. That's not like, oh, we're listing with them, okay? But they
yes.
are reaching out to us, and we're going to schedule a call with them. Um, yeah. So there's that. We will see. I want to hear anybody being like, you said you were going to list on Gate.io and that you're listing on. That's not what he said. He's saying they reached out to us, and in September 2022, they said that at one point in time, that we weren't ready yet to list there, but they were going to contact us when they felt like we were. That is documented. So then they reached out. So that's all I'm saying is we will speak to them, because they got referred and they're like, oh, we know you. Let's talk again. Let's do this. So let's see. Um, and yeah, since I guess a lot there, that's the thing I was saying. I guess I can go on, but um, there's three other exchanges that I can say are saying let's do this, and they are trying to list. And so that has kind of changed for those who don't know and who weren't on the last few streams. That like made us say let's like list on multiple exchanges and let's like bunch up a bunch of listings instead of just doing one. Um, it just so happened while we were trying to do the Bitmart thing, MEXC popped into the fray, and so did a company called Yellow, which is another listing company. And they were like, "Yo, like you guys are listing? Yo, you should list with us." And then we had like a professional opinion go and be like, "This is what happens when you list on two exchanges versus one," and it's an exponential difference. So we were like, "Ugh, okay, it looks like we should probably do that." We kind of forgot how much growth we've attained over the last 2 years, a year and a half, and it's actually been pretty extensive. It's just it hasn't been seen publicly since we don't really brag unless we're marketing, right? And on the development side, once we show people what we've done and where we're going, it's impressive enough to them to see that there's like an easy outlet for us to prove that we're worth more than our current listing price. And so that's what is attractive to these companies. And so right now we're like, okay, we've got to start talking to the community now. We got to be more public. We got to be more front facing again, because now is the time for not just the people that are currently existing on our community, but new people that can come in to jump in and be a part of this. While I'm saying this, I can answer some of the questions in Instagram before we kind of get lost in translation. But for Dan and for anyone else, OSIS right now, we are capping our sale at like 500,000 OSIS because that's going to meet our listing fee goals with all four,
Hmm.
including a company like Gate. We kind of predicted it was possible, but then they reached out. So uh, that's so you can jump in the same way you did before, um, through the website, the same place that you have your 500 plus OSIS or 1,000, whatever you have. You can do that. And before I answer the second question, Jalal, if you have more you want to explain or share or express to the guys before we go on, we can talk about the difference between DAO and DSO.
Yes, looking at the chat here, it's a lot of great questions and conversation. Um, before we go into talking about the DAO or the DSO versus a DAO and what OSIS is, bringing all the projects together, uh, there was a question about Yellow. So Yellow is the third exchange that we spoke with. Yellow is actually one of the biggest companies in like the blockchain world. It's like a conglomerate of companies. But originally they started as Yellow Capital, like an investment firm, and then they branched off into becoming like an exchange network where essentially they're building something where they already have relationships with Binance and KuCoin and Gate and all these big companies. What they want to do is, and they want to work with us, is they created an exchange network where instead of listing with several exchanges separately, you just list with Yellow and they distribute your project onto several exchanges at the same time. That's what their value proposition is. They're not launched yet, though. They already want to work with us. I spoke with one of the founders. So he's like, please, let's work together. We want to work with OSIS. And I'm like, but hey, we're trying to list in March. And he's like, well, we're not out until like early summertime. So we're like, okay, cool. We can work together still because obviously we want to be, as widespread as possible, as accessible as possible. But this leaves us an open slot for the third exchange for like our listing. So
But we're not
that
going to wait till summer. So,
yeah, we're not gonna
like,
wait. We're like
regardless, we'll be listing probably. If Gate says yeah, then it's Gate, Bitmart, and MEXE. Um, if it's not Gate, it'll be Bitmart and MEXE, and then Yellow after that, um, which is really exciting.
cool.
So that's what's good. Now I guess we can talk about DSO. And
Sure.
Jalal, you already have things prepared, so I would say you should probably start off with sharing stuff. And even if you're going to be sharing the screen, it don't really matter if me or you are speaking. So I think that would be good.
Cool. Okay. Uh,
Oh, Jalal, what are you doing?
I'm pulling it up right now.
Cool.
Okay, I'm pulling it up right now. So so in the last 3 days, we covered three major subjects and we had three major conversations. The first one was naturally we talked about OSIS, we talked about the different products that go into the project. We looked at some of these things. We even showcased the new website. I'm gonna pop it up again. Day two, so I believe it was Sunday or Monday, Sunday. We spoke about CoinCare being like the banking platform, the financial aspect of OSIS, and it's a sister company. So the second pillar. And on yesterday, we talked about Ethos. We did a full deep dive into what Ethos is bringing to the project in the fact that Ethos is like healing the society. It's there to like heal and bring more community and bring more cohesion and people together. And all three of these platforms, not only do they benefit people from like a financial perspective, where it opens up opportunities for creators, for people who want to like build something, build community, monetize their services, their products, what they are creating, but they also come together. Like you look at them as individual pillars, that's one thing. But when you look at it as an organization, it is a decentralized sovereign organization. And this is what we're building. And this is why we're here today for this conversation to talk about what the meaning is behind the words decentralized sovereign organization. Let's make this screen a little bit smaller for everyone on IG.
All right. So this is fun. I saw something. So Dan, quick answer to what you were asking about. Uh, it's the common question of when can I move my tokens into the exchange's wallet of concern? Is when we're listed. It's that simple. That's going to end up happening. You'll be able to take the OSIS you have in the wallet and then put it in there, or your MetaMask or whatever you have. And it's going to end up trading. But so yeah, so the DAO question, I missed it, but let me try to see if I remember it. Oh yeah, I do. Okay, so DAO, it's different. A DAO is it's run by a machine. It's still the same thing as our current centralized systems. Uh, the same thing as the education system, the same thing as current banking in America, at least, the same thing as our political system. It's the same because they're just using an outlet that's not human to make decisions that they set the machine to do. And so I think there's irony and a little with a little set like little spice thrown in of hypocrisy within what DAOs are. I'm not trying to hate on them. I'm just saying that's possible. It's always a possibility that people can abuse their power in something where a very few select group of people are coding the choices or um, creating the rules. And so the difference that we have a DSO is completely different. It hasn't been done before, but it's been enacted in society at some points and in some beautiful points in history. Um, uh, but the DSO, the S is sovereign, as you can see. And by definition, sovereign is about people who are able to exercise their power without limitation. And so that's been the word that's kind of been blurred um, in our current world. And when I say our, I'm talking about not just in the States, but in Europe, in Canada, in Mexico, in most of South America, in Asia, like everywhere. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And that saying is the fear that has select groups of people trying to control that, which in turn leads to the same problem at the end of the day because they don't have the trust in the people they're trying to take care of. And so they end up controlling them and become dictators under the guise of being sovereign and democratic. I don't like to talk about politics, and so you don't see that as politics. It's just real. And so the root of what we're building is a system in which the D in decentralization and the S in sovereign coincide as people that are able to, as a whole, make choices and have the power to make decisions and vote on those choices. Like their vote literally has a voice. Their actions literally have a voice in that you can't corrupt with more than someone else. You having more than your neighbor isn't going to make your decision more important than the other in the organization. It's going to be about mass decisions, like a mass amount of people saying, "I'm down for this." I guess true democracy, in a sense, you can't manipulate that. So the way we have our exchange set up, for example, once that's built, is set up in a way where you could have like a million more OSIS than your neighbor. It's still one vote. And so that's not going to. The difference is there's people that are going to have meta badges that are going to have a higher amount of votes, but they can only use that like a limited amount of times every month, and so they can't abuse their power in that way. Um, like the metrics they won't match for that to work because there's much less meta badges than there are OSIS. Um, and so that's the system that we're creating. And so we might ask, well, how how are people going to be able to be like audited or uh, like held accountable for if we don't know who they are, if they're like completely anonymous in the organization? Well, it's not going to necessarily be about who they are specifically. We have something that we call Web3 profiles, where um, every action that a person takes is on the blockchain, it's on record, it's technically public, but you are anonymous. So you do have you have control of your data and your identity. Um, but the thing is, if you're trying to do some low down stuff, if someone's trying to do something bad or they're a bad actor in the community, I mean, there's receipts. And so that's the part that protects people. That's the part that can no longer be manipulated with people running scams on multiple wallets and then, just kind of fragmenting the actions that they took. And so people can't trace them. Can't do that with OSIS profiles. Um, you can stay anonymous, so no one's going to know who this person is, but they'll be able to figure out that that account is on some shit and they're to be punished. If, they're out here trying to manipulate the market. Um, so someone was asking us in a call, in an exciting way about, they mentioned GameStop. Like it seems like GameStop could happen a lot in the O6 exchange, and I said, yeah, a GameStop situation could, because people will be able to whistleblow, and they'll be able to know that this place is, there's some small group of people here trying to do something. They'll be able to call it out very quickly. So there's beauty in that, I think. Now, the organization part, or the heart of what OSIS is, the reason why it's difficult sometimes to talk about multiple, I mean, one thing when it comes to OSIS, is because the whole goal of the DSO and the O aspect is making like Web3 infrastructure. So we can't just say we're just making one thing. That wouldn't make sense. We can focus on one thing, and so that's why we focus on the tokenizer, to start off, because it's the first thing we like fully built out. One, two, it's the way to actually have people create the assets that are theirs and their own asset class that belongs to them, rather than one like overruling currency. We don't want OSIS to be that. We want OSIS to be the thing that helps people facilitate their transactions through gas fees, because that's necessary in blockchain, right? But we're not trying to be the USD or the euro, or no. You guys are the USD and the euro and the AUD, all of that. We're not going to be that. So that's why the tokenizer was an essential component to start off with. And to touch on the user profiles again, since everyone here is usually on the spirit of Web3, and I think that's important to be, but it's also, I think, even more important to look at the fact that it's not about the technology, it's about the people, and it's about how you use things, and that everyone has different preferences. And so we're not going to be coming into this industry, and we haven't jumped into this industry trying to be anti other aspects of development within society, like Web 1 or Web 2. I don't really have an issue with those things. I just have an issue with how people have handled the exploitation of these things towards their fellow neighbor. I don't like how that's been handled, but it doesn't mean I think that Web 2 is bad. So why I'm talking about that right now with OSIS profiles is because in our, for example, mail, or in the exchange, or in in the wallet potentially, or in our search engine, when a person is using this, they do have the option to operate within Web 2 if they want added support when it comes to, say, I lose something. Like if they don't mind if their data is shared, or if they're someone who's like a marketer, or they are an entrepreneur, in the fact that they have to show their face and people need to trust them. They need to know who they are in order to buy what they have. Then um, that means that they would want a Web 2 kind of vibe along with the Web 3 aspect, which also means that some people would be marketing to people. And that means data is going to end up being monetized at the end of the day again, but not in the same way, because that's the root of the problem with Web 2, is that these companies, these big tech companies, realize that people don't value data as much as they do. And so they know that because we don't really value it at all, they could make 100% of the profits from that and not give you a dollar. And so we're like, well, how about we force these companies to split that? How about they split that with through the user profiles that we created if those people decide to have a Web 2 component to that within their thing, and they don't want to just be anonymous. They want to have a kind of an aspect of their anonymity that could be monetized. And then boom, there it is. So to put that into perspective, if you guys haven't heard Jalal or myself already say this, Facebook makes anywhere between 100 to 180 billion dollars a year in advertising dollars, and that's just one company. We're not talking about Google. We're not talking about Amazon. We're not talking about the total amount a year, which I can imagine is near $1 trillion a year. So, probably more honestly, but that's all ad revenue and data revenue that not one of us is making a single penny for from our own assets. And so, what we're trying to do here through this alone, which is why I was saying OSIS profile and tokenizer are so important. It's just I think people are sleeping on it since maybe we don't talk about it enough, or we might not be thinking about it deeply enough. Is if we can go in and force people, like force advertisers to actually split if they're using our services and give money to the people that are down to get paid to for their data, you guys could be making a good amount of money just to be around. And then you could take that extra money you have and then buy into people and to currencies that you believe will work out in our exchange. And that's why that video that was talking about when it came to the Oprah example was so important. And I knew it was going to fly over a lot of people's heads at the time because it was so early. Um, but that's why that video is still relevant today, and it always will be, is because in a world where you're actually treated fairly and you're looked at as like an actual business partner and not some asset in a farm or whatever, like if you're looked at in the correct human sense, then things are going to be easier. There's no need for some universal basic income thing. That's just another way to like completely devalue you and like take more from you when there's so much more money out here for all of us that we deserve, just point blank. So there's that. That's why this is such an important thing. But I felt like that was important to share. The decentralized sovereign organization's purpose is to make fundamental infrastructure for a free global economy, and that's why free global economy is the word. That's why we're talking about it in the global sense, because in doing so, we are actually following the GDPR rules in Europe. If we work this the proper way, we're following all the legal guidelines. We're actually we're kind of enforcing some of these laws that these people are quote unquote enforcing, which they're not. They're exploiting the fact that we don't know anything about the truth. So that's why this is going to be so important. This is actually why we went to El Salvador, for example. At some point, I'm going to send a link in Discord for you guys to watch. I've been sharing it with everyone, but with the president talking about the state of affairs in the US and how tax money is being used, all that stuff that I probably shouldn't say for us to get shadow banned or whatever on here. But I think that it's an important thing for y'all to watch. I'm gonna share it if you guys didn't already see it. He goes in detail. It's like very similar to our goals, and it's also I think why they invited us to that country when they did. We just we're in the process of making our user profile. So now that we're done that, it's like once we list, it's actually going to be a perfect time to go back there and speak to them again. So there's that. I wanted to just kind of express and explain what the DSO is doing, what its potential is. And you guys already know like most of what the other platforms have to offer when it comes to OSIS. But Jalal, I wanted to kind of take a pause for a second on my side in the explanation of things. If you had any thoughts that were running or add-ons you wanted to, kind of throw in.
It's a good time to pause and look at some of these comments and questions.
Ah,
Carver T says, "Let's go." Yeah, man, let's go.
So
Be alive.
yeah, let's read some of this.
Tiffany asks, "Will the email and card become active at the same time? Will we get to choose our domain names?" That's that's three different things. So the email one, OSIS mail is as of today, tomorrow, it is in a like internal team testing phase. So it's there. Now we're testing it and we're ironing out the kinks and stuff. Um, so our goal is to get the email, OSIS mail, delivered and public, like in tandem with the listing. This is like we want to line these things up and make sure that they come out at the same time. That's the goal. That's what we're working on. We're working on right now. There's a secondary aspect. It's actually two different applications. It's not just mail, but something that is like an integral part of OSIS mail is the ability to send files, file transfer, Web3 file transfer. What do you need to do in order to transfer files online? Well, you need to have something that is able to handle cloud storage. So OSIS Drive was born from this interaction. So it's two apps, it's not one. We're going to work on making sure that mail comes out. Like we want to line it up as well as we can, and potentially Drive as well. So those will be probably active at the same time. That's what it's looking like. That's what we're working towards. Card. We talked about the card 2 days ago on the live stream. Um, the card and CoinCare as a whole, from that live stream, we talked about how CoinCare is much, much bigger than we initially like talked about. It went from being a neobank, a digital bank, to being an actual establishment, a bank that is insured, that has a real presence, like it's a real bank, a bank owned by the people, a credit union. The cards that I did mention last week was an offer from an exchange called Bello Baba. They are a Europe-based exchange and company, and basically they were like, "Hey, please come list with us." They're not a big exchange; they're actually a really small exchange, but they also have like a banking setup thing going on. It's a centralized exchange. It's not 100% if we're going to list with them. They're still like sending us the offer and the terms and stuff, but our goal is to get on major exchanges. The smaller ones are like a second priority, a secondary thing. But he was like, "Hey, if you come on our exchange, we can make some like European bank cards with OSIS's logo on it where your users can spend OSIS." So this is something to consider. It's something
Oh,
that
yeah, it's something we could do. I wanted to jump in though to address that, and then I was going to address another thing. Actually, I'll start with that one real quick. With the monetizing data, I can't share that just yet because if I tell how, then we want to do it first, um, just in case. Now, I don't know who's watching the multiple streams we got, but that's the how is like a fundamental aspect that I want to share once we actually put the thing out and protect it. And so that the reason for this is not because of going against the whole open source mentality. It's because of how some of these industries in power like to create method patents with their like unlimited source of funds to just like stonewall companies on the rise. I've seen it a lot. And so I don't, it's not a good idea usually to share before you create. Because when you're done creating, you're first to market. And now you have legal advantage, like a legal priority over whoever, no matter how much money they have. So wanted to be patient with us, we'll share that. The same way we shared tokenizer when we made it and had our method patent set up, then we could be like, this is how it works. So I'll tell you guys about that later. Um, I think, John, I feel like you probably shared the story with CoinCare already, but
yeah.
when we were running when we were running ads for loans for people, I remember telling Jalal, I'm like, we're gonna be making a bank. And he's like, what are you talking about, bro? I'm like, this is gonna become a bank, watch. But it was so far away from that that it didn't make sense. I was like, we're gonna basically we're going to show people in the banking space that we can help them make more money. Why that's important is because we wanted to be able to establish a legitimacy in the space as people that could um, essentially bring customers. If we can show that we can bring customers and that we actually are trustworthy to the point where they can come in, ask for something, and they receive exactly what they asked for, then that's something that a lot of banks are not able to do, which is very odd. Um, so with that, we could get partnerships. With partnerships, you're able to get licenses that you naturally would not be able to do unless you had a ton of money. And so our focus was, instead of raising a ton of money for CoinCare, let's get the legitimacy and the reputation to receive all the partnerships that would have cost us way more than it would have been if we just paid for all of this stuff, because we didn't have nearly enough money to do that. And that's how you could become a bank, an actual bank. So with the relationship with Visa, with Galileo, with Metropolitan Bank, with all these companies we've shown y'all before, um, in writing on contract, like literally, now as an American citizen, I'm able to, like with all of us, basically establish a credit union that's FDIC insured. That still has its baseline of capital to raise. That's far more than what we would need for OSIS. It's like 11 to 14 million dollars to do that for CoinCare, like establishing everything you need. But it would have been probably over 150 million other if we didn't have the partnerships. And so that's where we are with CoinCare. Our goal, if I go over this in a timeline sense, and again, I say it's a goal, so don't come back here and be like, you said this and that. It's a goals. But our goal is basically we list, and then after we list on OSIS's side and we gain that traction and reputation, we bring a bunch of individuals together that are interested in buying into like a black bank. That's the promo in publicity terms in America or whatever, like a black owned bank and a multicultural bank at that. And we'd get a bunch of prominent figures to put in $1 million each into setting that up, and then we would promote that during our time developing all the things for OSIS. And so with that, it's what, $500,000 to do the credit union license, which we are already like established for doing. And so we would set that up, get the right people within the Federal Reserve that would be like, thumbs up, there it is, now you're good. And so that would end up being obviously an extremely powerful asset for OSIS and everything else like we'd be doing, and any other person that's creating a token, right? Because then we could end up being a financier for all the projects. Imagine that. So that's our goal. That's a gigantic one, though. So there's a lot of things that need to go right, but so far a lot of these things are going well. And so that's why CoinCare, like if you guys were wondering, oh, why don't we have the cards yet? It's because the minute you guys get the cards, it's a completely different story. We're not just making cards anymore. You know, it's different. It's bigger than it was. It's bigger than I guess it's bigger than what we were talking about and what we were selling. But I was trying to say that it's just um, sometimes you don't want to like overwhelm someone with a goal that's a little fantastical beforehand, but now it's not. So that's what's good with that. Is there more questions? Let me find. Well, in Twitter, let's see. Mm-hmm. How do I check that, Jalal? I don't know how to. I'm like new to this multi-stream thing.
On Twitter?
Like, actually, I don't know if I see any questions, but I don't know how to check.
Twitter doesn't seem to be like actively chatting. Uh, that's funny. Limitless Growth said, "Don't shrink your dream to fill others' beliefs." Oh, we never have.
Oh,
That's a
I can just politely say, "Hey, it's all right." Just keep working. Um, it's like not even, "Oh, I'm sorry you feel that way." I'm like, "That's good that you feel that way." Um, But yeah, oh, he's saying, are you saying that cards are issued? Wait, no. That's not what we said at all. We're saying that a bank will be established physically, and when cards are issued, it's going to be like backed by the Fed. It's going to be a different,
So
completely different situation than what we were like advertising before. It got bigger, and therefore making it takes more time to do that. Um, because everything has to be done in cycles. You can't just throw everything all at once, because if you do everything all at once, there's a higher chance you're going to make mistakes or you're going to miss something. We have to be methodical, right? Like we can we have the benefit of being able to move faster than other companies since we're lean and there's not as many of us on the internal team. But we also understand why certain companies that are successful don't just roll out a million products at once. There's got to be quality in what we do and thought put into it. Yeah, goals is how we got to think. I mean, for you guys as well, think about things like goals. Don't play to win, play to learn, and play to grow, and then you're gonna win. So yeah, that's what I got to share. I'm really glad to be back on your talking. It's been a while. I don't like to do it, but I do like to share thoughts as well. I'm not as extroverted as Jalal, believe it or not. Um, but this is always good. It's always good to see the guys again and the girls, say hello. Um, but yeah, we've come a long way. It's been a long journey. When we made that video, it was in Brazil, and we only had the coin made. That's it. You know, we made the picture of this video, all we had was a coin. And I was surprised that like, you know, people got so motivated um, with an idea they didn't really understand yet. That was wild to me. But now we get it, and so it actually gave me a lot of hope in humanity that like we're all kind of feeling that something's got to change. So yeah, uh, shoot. Well, I think that's all I got to really share for now. I'm like, unless there's more questions, do you guys have any questions about the DSO um, like concept, or do you have any questions about, let's see, like what you would be maybe using OSIS for potentially? I would love to hear that actually, if there are any questions, like any thoughts on how like you're thinking of using it or what you're seeing, and if they're reliant on certain things that we haven't said, then I'll do the best I can to answer that if I'm allowed to.
I know Niels was planning to basically tokenize his ski career. I see that he's in here, the naked skier.
Mm, hell yeah. Yeah, we had a call with like our some of our new like team members about um like this whole 90 day plan kind of push of a person, like what it looks like in the first 90 days of someone tokenizing themselves, and then going from that to listing appropriately. And so I think what we can do once we actually get this exchange out there for everybody is, like I was saying this in that call as well, kind of like how Spotify, like they highlight different people's journeys and how they make it work for themselves. Like we
Mhm.
can have forums, and we can have like discussions where people are talking about their path in detail and what worked for them, since decentralization and the people is all about open information, right? And then we can have our own type of forum on OSIS's side, like kind of charting a general path that people have taken that has worked for them. We're our own case study, so we could share our own journey, right? As far as how we got to this point, where now for us it's just a matter of listing and getting listing fees. It's actually kind of crazy at this point for us because it's like we were talking about being a utility platform before we made all of our utilities. We made one and two of them, and then we have like four or five. But because we only could have gotten there because of the capital raised by the community. That was like one of the main things. It's like we got there, then it brought the right teammates that were willing to work with us through thick and thin, no matter where we were on our journey. And they're like, oh, if we need to bootstrap right now, we'll bootstrap right now. If we need to, like, whatever, like I got it figured out. Like the fact that we ended up being so fortunate to run into the right teammates and into the right type of people in the community, um, it's what got us to this point. And so I want to be able to um, share our story once we are obviously listed and the companies or the things that we said we were going to build, all of them are created and there for you, to have a good baseline success story to share so that other people's success stories can also be like compared to, because not everyone's journey is going to be the same, right? Ours is going to look different, but it's good to kind of for you guys to see what can work depending on what your goals are. And not every, and again, I think I should say this before going off, but um, one thing I don't want people to do is I know everyone might see things like my idea is going to be the next $1 trillion idea. I'm going to make $100 zillion like in 2 years if I do this. But like, I don't, I really don't find that looking at your project in a financial lens first and foremost is a good idea. It's just my suggestion to not do that because it's like if you look at your thing in a way of like service versus reward for service instead, and if you're genuinely fueled by that sense of service, then you won't have to worry about the amount of money that's made because you'll be happy every day. You can only be in one room at a time as well. So like who cares about if it's 100 million a day or 1,000 a day? It's still 1,000 a day, man. Like um so I would say for anyone making a platform who has like some sort of entrepreneurial idea, or a business that's already running that they want to put on the blockchain, um, don't look at it financially first. Look at how you can better serve the people around you. Um, the good thing is Web3 platforms or currencies in itself, like they kind of force you to have to give people something of value for them to even want to be a part of it. So there is that, but never come in here with some sort of like I'm about to be a zillionaire. Don't do that. I think it's an easy way to crash and burn and to burn bridges because you might end up running into people that are focused on that as well alone, and if and at the first sign of adversity they'll quit or expose your operation or do something out of spite. So you got to keep it love focused. Yeah, yeah, like what Juan said, create out of love and the money will follow. We all invest in one another and then we win. We all win, and for one for all, OSIS is the currency of growth, creation, and freedom. Hey, man, that's our goal. That's our goal. Um, so yeah, that's all I got to say and share for now. Joel, do you have anything else you want to share? I'm gonna get off. But it's been good to speak to y'all. Love you guys.
Cool. I just want to close the call by saying, remember everyone that we are going live every day until we list. Someone asked, oh, is the date changing for listing? Yes, the date. This was a conversation we've been having every single day. OSIS was on one exchange before, Bitmart, and then our advisors told us, hey, if you get on 3 or 4 exchanges, that's going to boost the entire project, the price, the long-term outcome of the project, where you can get on massive exchanges like Binance and even bigger than that by listing on 3 or more exchanges. They were like, you need 3 exchanges. That's the best way to go. And we can introduce you to them. So bam, the second exchange that signed up with us is MEXC. They said, hey, we need a little bit of time, a couple of weeks. So we're like, okay, community, what does everybody want to do? Everyone's like, hell yeah, let's wait a couple more weeks. It's not a big deal, because that means we're bringing 10 to 15 to 20 million more people, potential buyers from these other platforms, to bring more like interest, more users, more investors, more activity. It's a very easy trade-off. The third exchange is still in the works. We're talking to 2 different major exchanges right now. We're in conversation. We're going to see which one of them wants to work and lock that in as soon as we have all of these and finished raising for the listing fees. The reason why this is why anybody and everybody can grab their OSIS pre-listing right now before we list. Um, we're raising for listing fees, and we've got 2 major exchanges, the third one on the way. We're listing in the next month. This is concrete. We want to be in before the Bitcoin halving, before like price explodes in the overall market. We want everyone to be in the boat, in position, and ready for when things start shifting and start moving more quickly. The Bitcoin ETF in the traditional markets has been approved. There are dozens of major old hedge funds, traditional companies like BlackRock, like Vanguard, all these different big names, who are investing into Bitcoin now. This is the it's the perfect storm, is what I want to call it. The whole Web3 industry has been waiting for this moment, where the traditional markets, the traditional investors, the $93 trillion Wall Street world could finally get into Web3, finally get into Bitcoin. So now the Bitcoin ETF, meaning the traditional Bitcoin, like on the stock market, is available. The Ethereum one is also available. And these old traditional mega funds are starting to move in. They're holding billions of dollars worth now. It's the reason, like, this is the reason why Bitcoin shot up in the last few months in the first place. And now we're headed to the Bitcoin halving, which has historically boosted the entire market, the entire price into like a whole new level each time. Every time Bitcoin halved, the entire crypto market like completely shifted up to like its next stage in development. And remember, we're all early. This is step one. Our initial listing is step one. It's huge. We want to do it like as best as we can, the right way. And the right way from our advisors, if you guys look at the February 22nd video, you're going to see like a deep dive, see behind the curtain, see what projects have listed in the last month and done really, really well. Our advisors said, get on more than one exchange. Get on more than one exchange. They said, if you get on more than one exchange, you are opening your project up to tens of millions of more people in more markets around the world. Why not allow Asia and people in Hong Kong and Singapore and Dubai to jump into OSIS? Why wouldn't we? We want everyone to be a part of the project. So the opportunity is here. It's amazing. 2 of them are locked in. Third one is on the way. The OSIS pre-sale is open again for everyone to take part. We're raising 500K OSIS there. We're already well on our way as well there. And it's a super exciting time. So in closing, we will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for being here today. We're going to announce the timings. It's going to be around the same time tomorrow, the same time every day until we list. We are going live. So feel free to drop your questions. If we didn't answer anything today, don't worry. You can jump on tomorrow and we can talk about whatever is on your mind. And yeah, full transparency. We're here. We're working with everybody. The team is growing. The project is growing. The market is growing. It's a beautiful time, an amazing time to be alive. And it's the right time to move forward with everything. So that's it for me. I appreciate all of you for being here on Discord, on Telegram, on Instagram, on YouTube, and Twitter. We've got all 5 of these platforms streaming live right now. Have a good day. Thank you so much. And you can watch this rerun too.